reviewed through this remaining review process, which is exactly what the statute and the rules are intended to accomplish. So let's not forget the reason why we're here today, to examine whether Invenergy has cured the deficiency that existed when we were here back in October, I think it was, on the missing water supply plan as a result of the situation that occurred with Pasco Utility District. And as a result of that argument, as a result of that status conference and that show cause hearing, the board suspended the proceedings, allowed the company the opportunity to go explore alternatives and develop a water supply plan. We even went so far as to incorporate, I think it was 10 specific elements that the town wanted to see included in the water supply plan. They were very specific requests for information. We accomplished that. We went through a great deal of effort to secure the necessary information in the water supply plan. And that plan is on file, so there's no question that the deficiency has been cured in the water supply plan, sufficient to allow the process to move forward, to take a closer look at it through data questions, through other input as required, and that's the whole point of that. I think it's important to point out with regard to the resolutions and the other things that Mr. McElroy mentioned about in Providence, that as I read the resolutions, as I read the building and trade motion, it was clear that the city's attorneys, that the water supply board attorneys have all advised that the water supply arrangements are perfectly legitimate and legal as they exist today, that there's nothing in the law that can prevent that plan from being exercised and implemented. We have, on the point about Providence, I think I just want to emphasize that it's not a proper course of action to stop all the review of this application merely because there's going to be a continued effort to maybe seek legislation, maybe that there could be changes that might, that people might try to do things. It's important to keep a focus on what you have before you now, which is a water supply plan with all of the elements that we discussed earlier that are addressed. It is a plan that has been duly authorized by the town of Johnston and a duly authorized resolution with a water supply agreement entered into by the town officials, which I suggest is actually a lot more than we had when we began this process with Pasco, where we had just a letter of intent. We did not have a binding commitment from Pasco, if you recall. We now have a binding contract with the town of Johnston, duly authorized by its council. That's the facts on the ground right now. That's where things stand today. So those are the important points I think are worth emphasizing so that this process can move forward. Lastly, Mr. McElroy began his argument with a number of arguments about his view, or the town's view, about the characteristics of the project. Obviously, just for the record, we disagree with those characterizations. I could argue here today about the need for the project, how it's going to be the cleanest and most efficient natural gas burning facility in the entire region of New England, how it will support renewable energies and renewable energy production and so forth. Those are the points of having a final hearing, so we can get into the very details of these arguments with evidence, with testimony, and so forth. But I just wanted to make the point that we don't think those characterizations are really the point of an argument on a motion to dismiss today. So that's my response to the town's arguments. Thank you.